Daily download.
Wrong thing.
Daily download. Welcome.
Why have you got a pen in your mouth?
Because Gregan taught me that the first day of Gfinity.
Gregan's
Elite Series.
Stupid.
Oh shit, I forgot.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Can't even go 3-0. What a dickhead.
What a terrible coach. They should fire Gregan.
They should fire Gregan. Vitaly should pick him up, then they should fire him again.
Fire him in French. He won't even understand that.
Le fired. Promotion. Okie doke. Let's talk about RLCS long. Hey there, nerds. How are you doing? Welcome to episode 40-something of the Subpar 47 of the Subpar Poddy C. Officially...
I mean, I would say unofficially, but now it's sort of more officially than ever with recent developments.
Very true. Okay, in which case, don't you say it. Officially...
Officially, yeah?
Yeah, there we go. The best podcast on El Internato. My name is Stumpy Goblin.
My name is Cole.
It is indeed. And we have got news abound because eagle-eyed Spotify and iTunes listeners, everybody who is following us on those platforms, will have noticed that we did not have a podcast out last week, despite the fact the week prior we said back to weekly podcasts. And that is because of one very important reason, Cole. What was it, mate?
Stumpy got hemorrhoids.
I have ass grapes abound. It's like a vineyard down there.
Also the fact that we are now casting the RLCS X E-League stream alongside some absolutely wonderful people who just made us feel like a huge part of the team that we'll get to in a second. But first off, we need to say fuck you to some other people that we don't respect anywhere near as much. And those people are our patrons.
Yes, so every single person in the last... I've given it the last a couple of months who have been popping on for a new Patreonage. We're going to read out their names because they have supported the podcast by going to patreon.com/subpar-but-in-HD. And those people are Slippy, fuck you.
Arkit, fuck you.
K-Sauce, fuck you.
Ryan H, fuck you.
Dalai Tuber, fuck you.
Platymus Prime, definitely fuck you.
Oh, fuck you a lot, Platymus Prime. Cheers, lads. Make sure you go and give us money. So, we have been casting the RLCS. I just want to say that sentence
say that again?
1,000 times. Subpar but in HD, Cole and Stumpy are RLCS casters, like genuine RLCS casters. I've got the flair on the subreddit and everything.
It was fantastic as well because our very first cast, obviously we don't want to sort of bowl into it full subpar mode. Be like, hey, officially, unofficially, Poddy C, blah, blah, blah. But the first series sort of worked out like that naturally. It was chalked up against Solari, the first one that we casted. And chalked is Magnus a lot on Remco, which are the team that, I'll be honest, I thought would be quite boring to watch. But fair play to them, they just tore into the series that we casted against them. They were going for massive pinches, they were going for dumb shots, there were pre-jumps, and it ended up being the greatest 3-0 game I've ever seen. But just the way the game was played, it basically meant that it was just a fun, relaxed cast. There was nothing else that we could do, and it meant that sort of by accident it was just a full sort of subpar cast. It was like, okay, we'll save the serious stuff for later because this is the series that deserved us to mess about. So I want to shout out that game to start off with as a great entry for you and me into the RLCS X.
So we obviously are working alongside people. These were all announced on Twitter. And firstly, I didn't realise how many S names there were as part of the lineup, because there's obviously Stumpy, your boy, Subi, Stack, Supersonic, and Spaceman, right? All of the S lads. And then we outnumber all of the non-S lads, which is Dazarin, Marky, F. and Cole. And those guys, I want to shout the hell out of them for it, because... it was me, you, Marky, and Dazarin who have not worked on any Rival Series broadcast before. These are all Rival Series guys, and they were the warmest, welcoming team I have worked with. It was so nice going in. As soon as it was announced, they made a Twitter DM of everybody, and people were immediately just fucking around and just making jokes out of each other, and we just jumped in, and they are... was a bunch of the nicest people that I've ever spoken to. Apart from Stacks, it's an absolute honour to work with them all.
Yeah, they're so warm and welcoming as well. It is always tough, like, going into any sort of pre-made group, whether you're starting a new school or you're starting a new workplace or you're casting the RLCS X for the first time, lol. It's just it can be an awkward thing and a tough thing. And yeah, I'd like to echo those sentiments and just say a huge thank you to every single one of these guys who sort of got us in that group DM and just straight away was sort of chucking around jokes. And if we didn't get it, they'd explain and go, oh, this happened 2 seasons ago, you know, and we're like, oh, that's why it's funny. You know, just all that sort of context has been laid bare. And there's been bonding sessions abound between all of us. And I've had a fantastic time working with everyone. I want to shout out specifically as well, F. who I think is my favourite host that I've worked with since Tom Deacon in the Gfinity Elite series. He, to me, like, Tom Deacon to me is like, you know, the golden god of esports. I loved working with him. And F. is the same. He's just so in control of the entire situation. He's sending us DMs, making sure that we're all comfortable. He arranged like a meeting between all of us yesterday after we'd finished just to make sure everyone was happy, if anyone had any feedback. And that is the sort of like captaincy that I think a broadcast needs. And F. has taken that mantle, and yeah, I love that man.
He's a natural leader, I feel, and he steps into that role and got us ingrained with the team so quickly. It was fantastic. I'm another person who has obviously needs a gigantic shout out, because this is such a team effort from like every angle at the moment, is the guys who work for Sarnix, so Corey and Scheist. They have been fantastic. Whenever we've spoken to them, they've also been busy doing everything else that's gone on, but they've still come in and checked in with us, which is so good. I absolutely love that. It shows how much care they have. And also Gibbs. I don't think people know how much Gibbs has done, but like the night before we were all like going ahead with the broadcast, Gibbs has got everybody in a call, the A stream and the B stream, and just got everybody chatting. We were going through the format, making sure that if anybody had any questions, he was answering. He was being another incredible leader, and Gibbs was making sure that we were all happy and comfortable going into our respective broadcasts, and he has contributed a lot towards the format of the RLCS X as well, and he has been a huge figure in getting it to this Swiss format, which we will get onto our thoughts about it. So yeah, Gibbs needs another huge shout out as well, because he's another champion of the esport.
It's amazing he got the answers to all our questions right as well, considering he was guessing the entire time. It's incredible. The odds of him making it so that all of us understood what was going on, despite him not having a clue himself, was, wow, insurmountable. That's the Gibbs effect. He's a lucky man.
He is a very lucky man. We were lucky men as well to work with those guys, and thank you to all of them. We have obviously been casting together for a little bit, which was very nice, and you got to work with Marky as well, because Marky Dudar is over on the E-League stream as well, which is... People love him. People were so enamored with him because he is unashamedly Marky throughout.
Yeah, he doesn't need to put anything on, you know. He's said as much to me that, like, when it comes to sort of like the big booming calls, he's happy for me to do that. All he wants to do is watch Rocket League and analyze it, and he has this capability. He's got that sort of same mindset as Gregan, I always think has, and I always look up to Gregan for having this, where he can watch a game of Rocket League and he sees, it sounds silly, but he sees all 6 players as individuals. Like, when I look at Rocket League, I sort of see 2 teams and then maybe 1 or 2 players who are standing out. When Marky looks at it, he could tell you which one of the 3 players from Team A has been the most aggressive, which one of the players from Team B has been the most aggressive, how they're rotating. He sort of takes in every single touch that they're making, and it's fantastic when I'm casting with him, because I can just say, oh, Marky, what have you thought of Rizex? And he'll say, oh, he started the series slowly, but you can see in the last game or so, he's really come into it. He started the game slowly, but you can see in the last... That's still not his accent. He started the game slowly, but you can see in the... Can you tell me his accent, please, Stumpy?
We got fantastic no we got der Ferrari
I'm so pleased to announce that our new podcast is going to be a try podcast with Marky Duda. We've got it on full time. He's absolute quality, and I know that you didn't get a chance to work with him on broadcast last weekend, Stumpy, but I'm not going to be there this Saturday.
Praise the Lord.
There's no E-League broadcast on Sunday, so hopefully you'll get a chance to cast with Marky, and if you do, I'll be watching. I'll be saying to my friends, sorry, I've got to watch Stumpy and Marky. Away I go.
I have an inkling that I'm going to be solo casting because you will have had a word to the production team of, I want to cast with Stumpy, nobody else can, and you'll get all protective. So it'll be a solo cast from your boy on Saturday.
Oh, you'll nail it.
That's what I'm excited for. But yeah, awesome team that we are part of, and being welcomed into that family. Subi was really, really sweet and just said, look, we are a family. Like, we're all here to help each other out, and if anybody has questions, let's just work together to make the best broadcast possible. And it certainly feels like that. So thank you to all of those guys and all the production guys as well behind the scenes. They've all been fantastic. Otherwise, if we're talking about the formats, we did mention Gibbs and his work on Swiss earlier.
Yes.
What do we think of Swiss? Because a lot of people have said that when we've been looking in our community, in our Discord, everyone has said that they have absolutely adored the amount of Rocket League that they've got on.
I've absolutely loved it. Like, from every perspective I can think of, from somebody who's working on it, I am well aware that the game that's been picked to be casted is the theoretically best match available. So the odds of sort of having a dud game to cast are much lower. There has been one dud game that I've casted, which was Magnifico versus Venk, which is with Marky Dudar, which was just thrillingly dull. It was literally 1-0, 0-1, 1-0. And then I think 2-0 in the last game. But basically, it was all like the Renegades Veloce overtime.
The first game of that series was straight up the most boring game I've ever seen. Like, unashamedly. You guys were saying it as well in the cast, because I thought every now and then something would happen. And then the final goal in overtime was just a shit touch in defense, and it was just sort of scored. And Marky was like, well, that's that game over then. Like, nothing actually happened. We had like 7 minutes of gameplay and nothing really went on.
Yeah, I recommend anyone listening to this to check out Magnifico Venk if you want to see how Rocket League should... Yeah, definitely. It's a sort of way to make you appreciate more the crazy Rocket League that we get elsewhere. Look, I love the occasional boring game. I think it makes the other ones seem even more... It's like a dud piece of chocolate. Like, oh, that bit of chocolate wasn't very sugary and tasty. Oh, but the next one now is even more so. You know, that's why chefs purposely...
Do they taste that different? Presumably we're talking about the same bar, because I don't imagine you go from one bar to... Well, you go square to square, each bit of chocolate has different flavour profile.
Yeah, exactly. One of them maybe they've ignored their unagi profile or whatever it's called. Is it unagi?
It's umami. And umami is like the meaty flavour.
Yeah, there's not enough umami.
Yeah, well, this bit of chocolate, this bit of Cadbury is not beefy enough for me. Go on,
beefy old Cadbury.
Dip it in some chicken stock. Oh, that's better. That's it. Get it a bit melty.
But then you go to the next one and it tastes like pork, and it's like, oh yeah, now I can appreciate.
I don't think you're eating chocolate. I think you're eating literal pig shit.
Porky old pig shit.
Porky pig shit.
Is that the new name for Percy Pigs?
Well, they're like shit like the poo emoji. Get your porky pig shits today.
From Marks and Spencer.
So the Swiss format was fantastic. The fact that it goes from the 32 teams from obviously the open qualifiers as well into then 8 from each day, and then break it down further then next time into then the top 16 again from the 2 groups, then go into the quarters, is a really, really cool format. I've loved Swiss ever since I've seen it on the CSGO broadcast. It is, when you've got that many teams, the best way of determining who the top team is, and I think we very much got that. There were a few shock results, which again we're going to get to, where certain teams that definitely should have made it did not end up making it. But I wanted to, and while we're talking about the sort of the games that went on, the spectating on the A stream by having that dedicated spectator of that guy Crasher was absolutely phenomenal. If you guys saw any clips that are posted on the subreddit or on Twitter or anything, obviously if you were watching live as well, and there were goal replays, that man has got backers mod plugins galore, and he's set up dolly tracks around the arena that he can just cut to, and then it will go on a track and follow a play perfectly. He's got them as presets. He also I've heard rumors, and I don't know if it's true, that he uses a flight stick.
Oh.
To fly around using a spectator cam. I think that's bollocks, but I'd love for it to be true. So that guy Crasher, please let us know, because his spectating is phenomenal, and it really shows how a broadcast can be made it can have that extra level on top where like every time you see a goal, a different perspective happens. Where there was really cool when there was like a runaway goal and the camera was just sitting in the back of the net and like you saw the ball rolling towards and the players are just wrestling trying to get to the ball and they couldn't get back in time, and it was just a really cool like camera view. So yeah, that guy Crasher killed it.
The ones that stand out to me, there was a Dignitas. I'm looking at it now. It was Dignitas' second goal against Stormtroopers in Game 3, where Uraeus has a sort of run down the line, gets a fake, then passes it into the centre for Valiant Panda, and the camera is in like the top left of the pitch, and you sort of track it as it goes. You can see this play developing. It looks stunning. And there was also the Astral air dribble to sort of awkward angle double tap against someone, and the camera angle was in the goal, and you can just see him flying towards you, and the ball comes towards the goal. Cool. It's like, this ball's definitely going in, and that looked stunning as well. So yeah, it definitely adds another element, and I think that we were discussing it backstage, weren't we, about the importance of observers, and how in the CSGO world, it used to just be that, you know, whoever was broadcasting it would just say, oh yeah, go on that person, and then slowly but surely dedicated observers started to come out, and it became a really important part of the team. The fact that if a caster is talking about player X and he says, oh, wait a minute, what's going on over here? Then if you can have an observer that's sort of clued into that and moves over there, especially if they do it in a swoopy, sexy way, then it just adds so much to that end user experience. And I feel that with the work that Crasher is doing now, we're approaching that point in RL Esports.
It adds a lot to the broadcast. And I think when you get somebody who is gonna start off at this point as well, where like this is the first time I've probably seen his work on the RLCS, this is the beginning, and there's gonna be so much more that he can bring to it. So really great pickup, to be honest, by Psyonix to grab him to be observing these matches. Otherwise, in terms of like viewership and stuff, because obviously you want to make sure the audience are happy, the actual viewership was fucking mental. There was 160,000 peak viewers, and it was consistently between 120 to 160 throughout the day that I saw, and it was on the Twitch front page. It was embedded in places. It had the esports button, of course, as well. It is the highest viewed first day by far. Like, that's more than, I think it was like season 4 final day at LAN. That's more viewers than that had already.
I think, yeah, it was sort of a perfect storm of all the existing Rocket League esports fans being curious how the new format would look, and then Twitch front page just ballooned everything. But many streams are on the Twitch front page and don't get 160,000 viewers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It still needed people to click onto it and remain on it. Be like, oh, what's this? Oh, I'll check this out. And that's only testament to the quality of broadcast that the mainstream was putting on. It's funny as well, the way it fell with viewership sort of climbing as the day went on, meant that our mate Kieran, who is a part of the Subparmy Army, a regular on our Discord and plays for Minx Gaming, he was involved in the 160k viewership game. And how surreal was that for you and me, Stumpy? Like, Kieran is someone that we call a gobby little chav. Do you know what I mean?
He's like, gobby little chav, yeah.
He's someone that we mock and shout at. And yet there he was on the biggest of stages performing bloody valiantly against Triple Trouble.
It's the fact as well that to most people, that is Triple Trouble, a team that they've seen a couple of seasons ago in the RLCS and mainly RLRS, versus ultimately a bunch of fucking nobodies, right? And that was the highest viewership. It was really weird, but he did really well, did Kieran. Very, very good performance. Everybody in the subpar community was very proud of him. He has.
There was also, just quickly, there was also a meme that started because the casters kept calling him Kern, and now he is now known as Kern. It's not their fault. It's spelt like it very well could be Kern. The only reason we know is that we know him personally.
I mean, I said it on the B stream broadcast when I was talking to F. about it. I kind of stumbled. I was like, Kern? Kieran? I can't actually remember how to say it. And so I was just like, it's one of them. It's a bad name. Like, just whack an E in there, then everyone knows how it's said. But yeah, he did really well. And it was really good to see that the viewership came at a time when that is a lot of exposure for these teams. And it also is a big benefit to the entire format, right? Because these guys have had... That is like hundreds of times more than they would have ever had viewership-wise. It's an amazing opportunity.
Until that, it is pretty much Nice Cactus. And that was it, I mean, that's pretty much all these.
And maybe
sort of guys
qualifier
had to-
streams if you get far enough for
if
rival
they can get an
series.
open qualifier. But as far as sort of weeklies go, this was pretty much just exponentially more than they ever would have had. And Matt's on that team, he popped off as well. He, to me, really stood out. So now I've no doubt that a lot of people will be looking at him, and Kieran and Mads played well as well. So all three of these players have rose their stock. And also Triple Trouble qualifying. They're always a team that seemed to be not quite there. They made it at the final attempt to next week. And I want to ask you, Stumpy, because when I've not been actively on broadcast on the B stream, I've not been using the squad stream. I've got one monitor with one monitor with the other stream, then I'm muting one and I'm muting the other and jumping between the two. How are you watching it? Because I imagine everybody has a different way that they're consuming all this Rocket League.
I've just been squad stream mode because then I've got my other 3 monitors, so I've got 4, you see, because I'm sort of really rich. So I've got...
weird that you're so proud of that.
Yeah, so I've got 4 monitors.
How many computers have you got?
And I've got 1, but it actually works.
Both mine work.
Yeah?
Yeah, it took a bit of work to get it going, but now it does.
Yeah, mine's sort of always work, which is good. So yeah, my 4 monitors.
Right,
I've got my squad stream that goes up on the top monitor, and then I can just see that going on, sort of all split up. And then I use my other 3 for keeping up with Discord on one of them, keeping up with notes and stuff on the other,
keeping up with Pornhub on the other.
and then I'm just sort of violently wanking with the other monitor, sort of really keeping a good consistent rhythm going for a solid 6 hours. But yeah, the actual games that went on were really good as well. Some of the biggest results that did end up happening, which we definitely need to talk about, Liquid and Oxygen, they pretty much completely fucked it.
In weirdly mirror images as well. I'm looking at their 2 performances together. Okay. Team Liquid went 11-10 game differential, so actually won more games than they lost. Oxygen Esports 10-10. So there was only a 1 game differential between them. Liquid won their first 3-1. Oxygen won their first 3-1. Liquid lost their second 3-1. Oxygen lost their second 2-3. Liquid then lost their third. Oxygen lost their third. Liquid won their fourth 3-0. Oxygen won their fourth 3-0. And then Liquid lost their last chance against a mid-table sort of high-level RLRS team in the Monkeys 3-2. Then Oxygen lost their final chance against a mid-level high RLRS team in Stormtroopers. So they just had a complete sort of... They copied each other, basically. And the end result was that neither Liquid, who was sort of third, fourth in most people's predictions, and Oxygen, who was second in most people's predictions, haven't made it through to next week. And to be honest, I don't think they can blame anyone but themselves, because they straight up underperformed.
Yeah, they did. They didn't do well on the day. Just to add to that real quick, I saw this originally on the subreddit by a user called 5374_YT.
Good name.
And he said, Liquid and Oxygen are both teams with new orgs who won their first games, lost their next 2, won their 4th and lost their 5th. Monkeys and Stormtroopers are both orgless mid-table teams who won their first and third games against non-RLCS 9 opponents, lost their second and fourth games to RLCS 9 opponents, and won their 5th games against Liquid and Oxygen. So actually it was 4 teams that had an incredibly similar run. So it was Liquid, Oxygen, Monkeys and Stormtroopers that were all sort of mirroring each other. But I think on the day, Liquid and Oxygen just didn't show up. It was... it's upsetting, really upsetting to see when Liquid have had such an incredible off-season run in the community tournaments, obviously under Mouse Sports, and then it comes down to the big event where now they're going to have to try again in regional number 2, and they just can't do it. And same for Oxygen, where they had such high hopes coming into this tournament, and they just couldn't close it out. I was really gutted to see that they didn't make it, but also very happy for Stormtroopers and also Monkeys to have made it, obviously instead in that 5th match.
I'm a lot more worried for Team Liquid than I am for Oxygen. I think that Oxygen, way back in the PSG days, Chaussette and Ferrer have always had this thing that you identified, Stumpy, on broadcast, where they pop off one tournament, and then the next they absolutely struggle in. It has been their storyline for God knows how long. Their most recent event was... I got mixed up with the community tournaments. What was the most recent EU... it was the Rocket League Grand Prix,
yeah,
which they should have won. They had that chance in OT to win the entire thing. Yeah. And that means that they're due a bad one, and here we go, not qualifying from the first Swiss. So in theory, their next regional event, they should be popping off and winning it comfortably, if that goes to plan.
I'd really like for that to happen. I really would, because I've seen people drawing parallels between Liquid and TSM, and that's a scary thing, because that started off with the previous TSM boys, then We Dem Girls. They won E-League, then got picked up by TSM, they had a disappointing run, and then TSM dropped them about a year later or so. I hope that this is just a quick blip. Speed, Fruity and Cuxick can get back on it and get the confidence back for Liquid as well, to make sure that they were a good investment, because Liquid is a huge org to be in Rocket League. It's not their fault that it is their fault they did badly on the day, but it's not something that they should beat themselves up about.
It happens.
It happens, yeah. It's something that you need to just sort of work on, get past, and then be better next time, essentially.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. So for Oxygen, I think they're going to be all right. But for Liquid, there's a lot of negatives among them, and I think there's a sort of desperation now, because they've started poorly with Liquid. That next result becomes even harder.
Yeah,
the level of we have to win this of pure desperation increases as opposed to decreases. And then you got the fact that they were double committing all over the place, seem to be comms issues. Speed is like the ultimate confidence player, and you can see how this is the team that could have a tough run and get bogged down. What do you think of them saying they don't need a coach?
I think that is bollocks. I think every team needs a coach. Every team needs somebody to be that person outside of the pitch to look in and say what you're doing wrong and what you're doing well. It's not just the fact you might think you know everything in the game, but you might. But how do you then receive feedback from your direct teammates on the pitch? How do you give feedback to teammates on the pitch? In a perfect world, a coach there isn't needed to be the middleman, because that coach is then not a direct competitor. But these guys are the most competitive people in Rocket League. And if you are told that by your teammate, hey, you've not done that very well, make sure you practice this, there's some people out there that will not take that well, because they think that actually... And they sort of harbour that little bit of annoyance. Not saying these guys ever will, but that is something that can happen. And you need a coach to mediate, to be the middleman, to make sure that anything that is said in a positive light. It's a coach's job to keep the team morale up. We've seen how well it works for Dignitas, where Panda thought is the perfect example. Panda thought that he had already essentially peaked. He was like, yeah, I don't need to practice my mechanics. And then actually... he was a bit shit at mechanics. Then he practiced it, got Astral on the team, and now he's hitting flippy R's all about the shop. It's something fairer. He's improving now he's got Astral. Maybe Liquid pick up Astral and then fucking get rid in 6 months just so he can get Osmosis off on the team. I think every team at this level needs a coach, whether they think they do or not. Even if it's a Sizz style coach, right? Where he's not going to be telling Justin how to do flip resets more consistently, and he's not going to be telling Squishy how to do it, or Garrett how to position. He is there to be a manager, to organise the scrims for them, to be that extra person outside of the pitch, removed from the intense situation, who can then relay information in a fair way and mediate conversations where otherwise they could be something that turns negative when actually they're a very positive thing. I think it's a huge, huge ego barrier to say that you don't need a coach.
And I think that until they get one in, they're going to really struggle to overturn this slide, because the way they were losing, they lost to, looking at the results, it was Triple Trouble, Team Liquid lost to, and Marky and I casted that one, and Triple Trouble were the better team. In truth, Triple Trouble could have won each one of those games. And then against Monkeys as well, Monkeys performed just valiantly throughout and easily could have beaten them by more than 3-2. So it's not like, the ball's been pinching awkwardly and they've not had the luck. They've not been performing. And I think that the best way for that to change is, as you say, Stumpy, for them to bring in somebody else from the outside who can look in and may not sort of be able to change the way they play the game, but just might be able to improve their communication, might be able to improve their mentality, might be able to sort of get this monkey off their back that, if they're already playing badly, they're going to play worse. So, yeah, coach time, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who, because obviously There are some very good coaches in Rocket League, but obviously most of them are taken at this point. I'm not very good at keeping up with who the coaches are, to be honest, like of who is now available, who's been recently removed from a team. But I think it's definitely something that Liquid should look into. I find it shocking that Liquid haven't pushed it as well. Maybe they have, maybe the players have pushed back. I have literally no idea. But the fact that there's not a coach for them right now, when Liquid have been in so many esports and they're one of the biggest orgs in the world, and they haven't pushed the fact that they need a coach, is very interesting to me. Hopefully they do, and hopefully this will change, because it's a big stepping block, I feel, for the team. Speaking of coaches, they have done very well, even though it did get a little bit awkward towards the end. It was a little bit squeaky bum time for Guild in Group B yesterday, because they started off very strong with our mate Gregan at the coaching helm, where they 3-0'd Unique Stars, then 3-1 Endpoint. They then lost to BDS and Giants, and the final game was against Glory 4 Builders, and they just about shut it out in 4 games. Should Guild have done better there? Because I really feel like they should, considering the talent that they've got.
I think at this point, with the Swiss format where it is in RL esports, and all of these players brand new to it, what we've seen from Liquid and Oxygen is that you can't just assume that bigger/better teams on paper are going to make it through. I think it'll be a wake-up call for them that it took them 5 games to do it, but they lost to BDS. There's no shame in that. They lost to Giants 3-0, and that's, not quite good enough, but, they could still lose to Giants, and then they did the job against Glory for Builders. So I'm going to be a little bit less harsh to Guild than you are, I think, Stumpy, because I think that, as I say, we're still at a point where making it through is job done at this point, because it's also new and crazy to everyone. But I know what you're saying. They didn't strike me as a premium team yesterday. It could be because, they've been playing for God knows how many hours and they were tired. But yeah, we need to see more from Guild. I agree.
Hopefully we will, because they're a very fun team to watch. Guild are a great org as well, obviously. And hopefully there's going to be a little bit more that does end up coming out of them. But yeah, ultimately that's what this format is, right? Like, there's these teams that come in and are taking games off RLCS teams and knocking some of them out as well. And it's something that we would not see in any other tournament.
Well, there's been sort of surprises and stuff like that, Stumpy. I want to say, are there any teams that have caught your eye that you didn't expect to catch your eye?
Definitely Magnifico. I think that's one that's caught both of us and has kind of caught the world by storm, to be honest, because I saw... It's going to sound mean. I saw Greasy on a team and thought, oh, last hurrah. But actually, Greasy on that team, Magnifico came 6th in the end. They really did well. Magnifico with Demensa, Atomic, and Greasy are a mechanically very strong team with really not much fear in their hearts whatsoever. They know what they should go for, and they know what they shouldn't go for, and they go for both of them. Like, they just do everything that they want to do, and they control the game incredibly well.
The series of Oxygen Esports versus Magnifico was just an absolute sight to behold. There was about 87 different demos. Demensa, I've cast him in the Salt Mine too, and he can be a very inconsistent player, and he sort of dipped in and out of that series, but when he's involved, like, he was just as good mechanically as anyone from Oxygen was on the day. But the demos they were going for, it was just funny. Like, I'd be watching it from Ferrer's perspective, where normally you're thinking, I was going to dribble this away, and, you got like your blind spot, and then a Magnifico player would come out of nowhere from Ferrer's blind spot. And I'd be surprised that Demensa had done that, let alone how Ferrer is thinking. It was just an overwhelmingly aggressive performance. And I was glad that Magnifico won that, because that is a style of play that is just so exciting and entertaining to watch. And I hope that Magnifico take that one forward. It's why the game against Venk was such, sort of stuck in my mind so much, because it was so different. But yeah, then Magnifico performed against, I don't know, whoever they beat in the 5th one. They did the job. They got through, and I'm glad. Yeah,
I'm very glad. I'm happy that we're going to be able to see them go forward. They're also now in our top 16. Yes, the teams that did end up getting through are Vitality, Barcelona, Singularity, Top Blokes, who, by the way, did incredibly well. Archie is a fucking god. My Christ, Archie is really good.
Third highest rated player so far, according to like the Octane
He's out
ratings.
with the first 2 Vitality players.
No, the first 2 were Barcelona players.
Oh, interesting.
It was Itachi
Ooh.
and Ronicky. I think Ronicky and Itachi, actually.
So I actually had big doubts about Itachi because I didn't know much about him, and looking at games that they'd had with him previously, it seemed like they'd basically practiced with him and then were with him for a bit too long, then all the other players got snatched up, so then they just sort of grabbed him to just continue with. He's really bloody good as well. He is slotted into that team really well. Same with Yoras on Dignitas. He has done a really good job of just getting involved with the team, and the synergy that they've built up over the last couple of month or 2 has been something that I think a lot of teams search for over the course of a year. So, very impressive from FC Barcelona. They've gone from a sort of mid to bottom table RLCS team, that's sort of in the old system, into now very much a top 3 team. So fair play to them. Solari also went through. Triple Trouble, Monkeys, and Last Resort. They were from Group A. And then Group B had Dignitas, Team BDS, Giants Gaming, Venk Gaming, Endpoint, good lads, Magnifico, Stormtroopers, and Guild Esports. I want to quickly chat about Dignitas because they looked a lot better than I was anticipating. I was worried that they were going to have a few more stumbling blocks before they found their real momentum, because they're always a team, like when they picked up Astral, right? They always have the chance to get the momentum. We always knew it was going to happen at some point. It just matters when, and we don't know when that was going to be. It's already happened. They got through 3-0, and just quickly, Verge had a really good interview when he spoke to Shogun Gibson Leaf on the mainstream, and he said that they were essentially looking for someone who was very mechanical to fill in the previous Astral role, so then they can mould the player into who they want. And I think that's such a good way of going about picking up a new third.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Dignitas goes, you're going to have to talk me through it, because I was casting games alongside it, and I haven't yet had a chance to go back and watch it. So talk to me about Dignitas then, from what you saw. How are they performing? Because I did see the final game against Magnifico, and
that's
they
the only
sort
one
of,
I saw.
Oh, okay. They sort of held them at arm's length, and then managed to get that OT. But that's about all I know as of this point from them. But they've gone 3-0. They've done the job that needed to be done, and they're sitting pretty at the top of that group. So I'm happy to see the Dignitas fire is still burning.
Yeah, they just, as far as I could tell, they just figured it out. Every now and then there was the awkward moments of Yoras would go for something and UK or Panda just didn't know that he was able to then get the next touch, where that's a comms thing where he's not calling, I'm still on, I've still got it.
And they'll learn that anyway.
Yeah,
they'll
exactly.
learn what he's capable of.
And I think once those little kinks get ironed out, then Yoras can fit back into the team a little bit nicer. They'll know what he's going to go for. Panda's mechanics are just getting better and better every tournament we see him in. He is really getting up there. He was practicing a lot of ones in preparation for Salt Mine 2 because he thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go. I'll see if I can get him. Didn't in the end, but he did a really, really good job of, I think he grinded to like top 50 on the leaderboards just because he wanted to. And Yukio was also doing a really good job of fitting in the team. He seemed confident. From what I saw, he was acting confident. And it's when we've seen Astra act confident, when we see Yoras act confident as well, it is really quite troublesome, because he then gets into a point where he will read anything that you do and anything that you want to throw at him. He is happy to just get in the way, recover perfectly, and then go immediately on the offensive. No slowing down whatsoever. So now Yukio looked in really, really strong form this tournament as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, I mean, the confidence factor is just ever so important in Rocket League in general. That is I'd say the worst thing that these bubble players approaching the Swiss format can do is think, oh my god, I'm against top blokes, they're in the RLCS, just make sure you sit back and, defend valiantly. That's just never going to work. You've got to go full Magnifico and just attack the hell out of everyone that you come up against. Although actually, apart from the Last Resort, who qualified in the 5th game against Fadeaway, and they basically defended their way to next week. So I guess it can be done, but for the most part, as soon as you show your opponents that much respect, you're gonna be in trouble.
So, Cole, to kind of get to the tail end of this podcast, if you had anything else you wanted to chat about?
Hemorrhoids?
Honestly, mate, my hemorrhoids. I need to get like a pair of tweezers and just pop them all. Honestly, it's ridiculous at this point. Cole, welcome to another episode of. That's a weird place to listen from.
Is that what you've been typing?
I've been clicky clacking.
Nice.
Thanks,
Good
man.
stuff.
Thanks, man.
I'm ready. Can we have the jingle again? Sorry.
That's a weird place to listen from.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Can you? Can a talented person remix that?
Yeah.
Please,
with
can
some-
somebody? Literally just a 5-second little thing, just ending of. Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, good point. Actually, I've not heard of that. So this weird place to listen from this week is a place called Cheektowaga, New York.
New York.
New
I thought you were
York.
going to say Hawaii or something.
No, not quite. This had. Normally they have 5 or 6 listeners that I try and aim for, but as I was scrolling, this name really took me.
Is it one?
One listener.
Oh, there's one person we're speaking to. Hello there.
Hello, friend from Cheektowaga, New York.
Cheektowaga. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to forget it.
Cheektowaga, New York. Do you want me to copy and paste my quick notes in the thing?
As long as it doesn't spoil any results.
There you go.
quizzes.
So, Cheektowaga, New York, Cole, as of 2010, it had a population of just over 88,000 people. Now, it is classed as a town. That is a big old town. That is huge, I feel.
Is it? I'm not very good at knowing what's a big town or a small town. What would
I
a
think it's a
classic
lot.
British town have?
Let's see what my local town has. Actually, no. Okay, mine.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's actually not that big. It's actually quite normal, really. Fair enough. All right, never mind. Cheektowaga, over in New York, is a town located in the north-central part of the county and is an inner ring suburb. It's the second largest suburb of Buffalo.
Oh, did you know that the sentence Buffalo, 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 like I think with 13 buffaloes makes sense?
Yeah, it's like to do with like them walking through a town, isn't it, or something like?
It's like
the
the animal, because the animal is plural, so it's like the animal that are from a place called Buffalo in New York. Bully, like to Buffalo means to bully.
Yeah, yeah.
So Buffalo that are from Buffalo, Buffalo that aren't from Buffalo, something like that.
Yeah.
It's very clever.
It's very cool.
don't
It's
know
very fun.
fully.
Well, that's not the fucking
Yeah.
fact, is it? So
That'd be a good fact. Can you tell me that fact, please? I like that fact.
Buffalo. Cole, I have 2 truths and a lie for you about Cheektowaga
Ooh.
over in New York. And my 3 facts are as follows. Cheektowaga, New York, population 88,226, is twinned with Zlotoria, Poland. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts about that?
Not yet. I'm keeping my cards close to my chest.
Okay, Cheektowaga's weekly newspaper is the Cheektowaga Bee, which is very sweet. And it was founded in 1977. The Cheektowaga
This better not be that
Bee.
one. It better not be that one, and it's actually 1978. If it is, I'm very disappointed in you.
And the
For God's sake.
and one of the famous people that are listed. 'Cause there's a few famous people that are listed. Wink on the Wikipedia page. One of them is Ryan Simonelli, who is a professional bowler.
Okay. So we've got twinned with somewhere in Poland. Their weekly newspaper, founded in 1977, is the Cheektowaga Bee.
Which is a very sweet name.
And there's a famous person that was born there called Ryan Simonelli, who bowls professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Bowling, New York, Italian-sounding name, everything lines up for Ryan Simonelli.
okay.
So I'm going to say that one is one of the truths. So I'm
Okay.
going to eliminate the famous person, Ryan Simonelli, as your falsity.
Okay.
Is this where I think now you tell me if that's a correct...
Sorry, you're the fucking games
Truth.
master.
No, I'm saying
Call
that
me
if a
games
fun way to-
master and apologise.
Sorry, Games Master.
Thank you.
Is that one
That
correct?
one is a fact.
Okay.
That is a truth. I will give you that.
So there really is someone called Ryan Simonelli. We should watch some of his best bowls.
Do you reckon there's a comp?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I see a compliment. I think you meant like a competition. I was like, I'm sure there'll be a competition somewhere.
Oh, right.
for
So
bowling.
Ryan Simonelli he's a left-handed 10-pin bowler, originally from Cheektowaga, New York.
Do you know why bowling is hard for bowlers? Why it's not just like strikes every time?
Nope. So the next two...
Listen, this is good, because the oil down the lane gets all sort of merged and messed up. Like, it starts off all slick going forward, so strikes are easy at the beginning, but then as they bowl and they're doing little skiddy shots and stuff, the oil's all over the place. So it's sort of like a golfer when they've got to judge, how the green is tilted. The bowler has to judge the angle and take into account the oil on the lane.
So it's oil over the place.
There is oil over the place, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, that leaves me with, is Cheektowaga twinned with Zlotoria, Poland, or is the weekly newspaper, the Cheektowaga Bee, founded in 1977? Poland and America. I don't think they've got anything going on together.
There's lots of Polish immigrants to America, bear in mind.
Are there?
Yeah, like it's very similar to like Italians. Like the whole Italian immigration. Yeah. It's like there's a shitload, like genuinely just as a general thing. There's a shitload of like immigrants from Poland to America. There's a lot of in sort of like suburbs, not suburbs, what are they called? Like sort of Polish shops. Yeah, like in cities, like you have like sort of like districts and whatever.
Okay.
There's a lot of like Polish sort of like districts and stuff.
Welcome to Little Poland.
I'm originally from Zlotoria.
Okay, fair enough. Like I always knew about,
right. But yeah, that's the genuine thing.
I knew about Irish American. I knew about Italian American. Haven't heard Polish American.
Yeah,
I'm going to stick to my instincts, though. I think that you're fooling me, Chris Tarrant. I think that what you just said is a lie, and there are 0 Polish immigrants into America. So I'm going to say that the second truth is that Cheektowaga's weekly newspaper is the Cheektowaga Bee, founded in 1977, meaning that the lie is that it's twinned with Zlotoria, Poland.
So founded in 1977, yeah?
No, that's the truth. It was founded in 1977. That is my truth, and you cannot make me change it. This better not be 1978. You haven't. You're better than that. You're so much better. You're doing a bit.
You say this. You say you're better than that so frequently. And Cole, can I ask you if I've ever been better than that?
You have once, a long time ago now.
Make it twice, because Cheektowaga's weekly newspaper is the Cheektowaga Bee, and it was founded in 1977. Yes. And Cole, I can confirm that Cheektowaga is not twinned with Zlotoria, Poland, but it is twinned with Ławix in Poland.
It's not that much better than the logic that I didn't want you to apply.
Yeah, so you've gone incorrect working, but you've ended up with the correct answer.
I mean, I'll take it. It's another point for your boy. I hope someone listening on is tallying these.
I've already done 3 episodes, and you've got them all wrong so far.
That's not true. I beat Metsonoris for a start.
History will tell otherwise.
We need a guest on this show, don't we, soon?
We do.
Let's get someone on.
Yeah, guys, who would you like to have on the show? Because I'd like to quiz people again. Metsonoris was our guinea pig, and he did a really good job.
Losing.
Why do you
turning
have to be
me down?
Mean?
I'm not being mean. He turned me down.
You're being spiteful.
I hate Endpoint now.
Jesus. Endpoint, though, doing really well, which is fun.
For as long as I live, I shall never associate with Endpoint. I mean, cannot stand them.
Endpoint are straight out one of my greatest calls in my career. The fact that they would be good.
And they'd be demo-y.
Yeah.
I don't know how you saw it.
Peeps-esque, baby.
Yeah, I know. you got a few big ones. You got that. You've got the 5-1 Singularity versus Sandrock Gaming. What was the other one? Oh, the other one was in TCS. I can't remember what you predicted, but it was something ridiculous in that.
No, there was one with Johnny as well. It was another Endpoint prediction. No, Singularity prediction. No, Singularity prediction. I said that they would win against somebody in like Fusion or whatever. And they ended up beating them, but Johnny was like, they're never going to beat them. And then they did. And I was like, fuck yeah. But then I banked it all on doing a big call for them to be like Vitality, and they got smashed. So I was like, oh, GG.
My best one is when we had Johnny Boy on this very podcast, and I said that Tho was Dutch. And Johnny was like, no, he's German. He's Dutch.
Mate, you've nailed it. Fucking Johnny Boy's an idiot. How's he on the ace team?
I know, everyone says he's so smart and he knows all about players and what freaking wheels they use. But, like, where's Tho from, Johnny?
Can we all at Johnny Boy and ask him, hey, Johnny, where's Tho from, smiley face?
You idiot.
You idiot. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Poddy C episode number 47. if you would like to drop a review on iTunes, that is very, very helpful. We
God,
love seeing
what?
that. What?
You never asked for a review on iTunes before. That's a bit much, isn't it?
Is it?
A review?
Yeah, no, yeah, just like good that. I liked the. That's a
so
weird
not
place
like
to listen
a-
from. I don't want like a 2,500 word essay on why you liked this episode of the Poddy C.
Although, if somebody writes a critical analysis on the Poddy C that's well written, like, you know, I'm talking about a good enough review that could appear on the AV Club, that goes into the depths of the context that we're talking about and makes references to like 1940s French cinema, we'll read it as a bonus episode.
Is that going to be? Shall that be a Patreon reward? If somebody writes us a proper big essay, what is it, like 1,000 words? That's not that
Let's
much.
say
is
1,000, yeah, let's say 1,000.
1,000 words, double spaced, size 12 font, has to be Arial or EXO. I will accept, not Times New Roman. I'm not a virgin. And yeah, make sure that you send it over, email it to us, subpar@subpar.gg.
And we'll just record it and chuck it on our Patreon as a bonus thing for $1. Okay.
That sounds, yeah,
Should we do a paragraph each?
Yeah, that sounds fun. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like to drop a review,
Why don't we make that the video podcast?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, that's what we'll record to camera.
Okay.
And you guys can finally see our faces.
Face reveal.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a vest right now. That's the kind of man I am.
I'm wearing nothing.
You are wearing something. God, you're so hairy.
I am hairy.
Yeah, that is gross. Right,
it's not gross.
It's gross. Have you seen the episode? Have you seen the show Body Fixers?
No, they make somebody shave.
Right. So it confuses me so much because it's on Netflix, right? And it's like Embarrassing Bodies-esque type thing. So it's like somebody comes in and they're like, I've gone through chemo and now I've got no hair. Can you give me a wig? And they're like, fuck yeah. And it's like a really nice, really cool thing. And they're like, build people up. And it's like, yeah, this is what you do. Here's a wig. You look great. You look amazing. They give like a full makeover. Stuff like that. And then on other same parts of the show, literally the next person that comes in, it will be a guy who's genuinely got less body hair than you do now, and you've got a very normal level of body hair, realistically. Like, it's on the higher end, but it's, like, within limits, right?
I'm not a freak, yeah.
He had less body hair than you by a significant margin. He said, it's ruining my life. I've got too much body hair. And they're like,
what?
Oh, that's the most I've ever seen. I'm like, fucking look at Cool Cole. Like, and they just gave him a shave. And he's like, oh, and at the end, they're like, oh, I feel so much better. And it's like, but no, sorry, you've wasted your time on that prick when there's people outside who have got genuine like problems. Like somebody came in and they were like, yeah, like my entire foot is like a verruca.
Oh.
And then they're like, oh, and like, it shows like close-ups and like pulling verrucas out of their feet, and it's like it's pretty fun. But then somebody comes in and goes, oh, I've just not got very good eyebrows.
I don't have any.
And it's like, what? Yeah, honestly, it annoyed me so much. It goes from really good people who need like this like entire makeover who change their lives, and then somebody who just like they said, yeah, I want to look like, one of them just comes in and goes, I want to look like Marilyn Manson. Not Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Monroe.
Well, some people want to look like Marilyn Manson.
Very true. But yeah, they're like, yeah, I want to look like Marilyn Monroe. And then they're like, okay. So then they did it, and she's like, thanks. Oh.
Cool. This is a weird sounding show.
It's
man.
really weird.
It doesn't sound very #body positivity to me.
I sometimes it isn't, because the hosts literally go, oh, what the fuck is that? Like every now and then. There's this woman who went in, sorry, this is a weird end to the episode. There's this woman that went in who had just sort of like hairy legs, like very normal level of just like hairy legs, which is fine, like sort of 10 days growth or whatever. And she goes, yeah, last time I went to a salon, the person who was going to shave my legs threw up. Right?
What?
Right? And on my TV, this show is in 4K, I had to stand at the TV and stare and be like, is there hair on her legs? I couldn't tell. It was
That's surreal,
awful.
to be honest.
Yeah, and then like the people...
How do you find these shit shows?
Chaz was watching it, and then I watched about 8 episodes. I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend
What would you
watching
talk
it.
about? If you went on Body Fixers, what would you be there for them to fix, and how would they fix it?
What would I go there to fix? I'll go with my teeth. I go teeth, mate.
Yeah?
I don't like my front teeth. They're like sort of caved in a little bit from when I need myself in the face. That's what I'd go
what
for.
Else?
No,
What
that's
else
it.
would you
I reckon that's it. Yes, I've only just really got that sort of one quite small thing wrong with my face. So I go with the front 2 teeth, move them. I'm going to get Invisalign at some point. I'll do it like next Black Friday.
That's all the Twitch comments that sort of talk about your appearance talk about. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
they do. Yeah, I always like seeing them. I do find it funny when I see people on there. It's like, I'm casting Rocket League. Why are you so upset by my eye right now? Like, it's so funny. There was somebody who replied to the announcement tweet of the RLCS B stream talent, and they said, "Get Stumpy off." And I was like, you're not even suggesting a replacement. Like, you just want me to go.
I almost retweeted that, actually. I should have done.
Marky
I might find
screenshotted it and DM'd it to me. And I was like, thanks. Cheers, mate.
It's quality. It just means that you're an interesting person, mate. That's worth pointing out.
Being kicked off. Cole, what would you have body fixed about you?
I would have them pencil in some hairline for me, in all seriousness. If they could fake it so it looked like I had one, even if I didn't, I'd be fine with that. They just sort of stab me with like a Maybelline pen and it magically looks 3D. It's like, yeah, I'll take that.
On that exact same vein, actually, thinking about it, it was the worst person I've ever seen go on that show.
Was it the comb over?
No, it was a guy who he was Mr. Gay Wales.
Okay, I didn't know they had gay whales.
They do. 1 in 10 lambs is gay, which is a fun fact.
Cool.
Yeah, so he's Mr. Gay Wales, right? And before you search him too much, okay?
Oh, sorry, I've just seen it. My bad.
Right. He went in and said, "Yeah, I'm going to a European competition as like sort of like for like a toned body kind of thing. So it's not bodybuilding; it's sort of like in good shape kind of thing." And he was representing Wales, obviously. And he said, "But there's been like an off season, like 3 months, and I put on a little bit of weight." And he didn't have like a six pack anymore, but he was obviously still in like good shape. And he said, "Yeah, can you help me out? Because competition's in 3 weeks." I was thinking, fucking work out. You've already done it once. Like, you're going to get into good shape again. Like, you're fine. You're okay. Just work out for 3 weeks and you'll be all right. And they said, yeah, in this afternoon we can fix it for you. What they did...
Wait, what?
What they did, Cole, was they got makeup and they make-upped on muscle definition onto his body and they drew on abs and pecs and his biceps and stuff. And he goes in front of the mirror and he goes, "Oh, I love that.
It's turned me Irish. That's how happy I am."
I love it. Oh, it's bloody great. No, honestly, can we find a picture? Mr. Gay Wales.
Well, I've typed in Mr. Gay Wales and there's a bloke with one hand. Did he have one hand?
Yeah. One hand
You
mode.
didn't tell me that, but I thought you were going to say that, to lose some weight. They said, "Look, give me that." Gives a knife. Well, I weigh 10 pounds less. See you later.
Hang on, right. Mr. Gay Wales body fixes. Honestly, the final picture is
I can
awful.
see it. I can see it really blurrily. I presume this is what you're talking about. One sec. Everyone's going to have to do their own Googling, of course.
It's that. I'll put it in our doc.
In our doc? Oh, yeah.
Look.
Oh, loading. Yeah.
Like, you can tell he's not in shape. Like, he's fine.
It's a bit wide.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just... They just drew on muscle definition. Everybody just search, if you want to, Mr. Gay Wales body fixers. And there's a topless picture of him. It's pathetic. Then after that, someone comes on and she's had cancer. And then she needs to have like a wig put on. I'm like, what is this show promoting?
What message are we saying here? That everyone's beautiful? Or that no one is?
Although, when we were watching, somebody went on there and Chaz just went, "I know her." And she's a friend with her on Facebook. She had no idea she went on body fixers.
What was being fixed?
She was a dwarf, right? And she had... I thought when she went on there, she wandered in and the host kind of made a joke of, "I can't fix that." Right?
That's like something Carl Pilkington would say.
Right? And then they ended up... and she was like, "Yeah, I just got really frizzy hair." So they just... They just did her hair.
Just straighten it. I'm pretty sure that straighteners work on dwarves. I'm no scientist.
Genuinely, they literally were just like, "Yep, just straightened your hair, really." Just sort of, and they just dyed it sort of pastel pink. She was like, "I love it." Honestly,
why did they dye it? She didn't ask for that.
It was like pastel pink, and it looked really good. Then Chance like showing me her Facebook page and stuff. But man, honestly, it was so funny. It's an incredible show, and it's awful.
That does sound awful. The thing, I'm so rubbish at watching reality TV. Linnea loves
just watching
it.
shit.
Yeah, I feel after I watch a TV show, I have to feel like I've thought something. I know it sounds pretentious, but like genuinely,
I mean,
need
you
to
go
sort
on
of.
forums and look at reviews. And
I
stuff.
love reviews. I do. That's why I mentioned it earlier. I do enjoy a good AV Club review because they sort of go into loads of context and they sort of say you're in season 4. They'll talk about how this character has done this since season 1. It's like, oh yeah, I hadn't put that together. And they'll talk about how there's normally like an A plot and a B plot. I'm not very good at seeing the themes between them. And they'll say, oh, in both A and B plots, we're dealing with loss. I'm like, oh yeah, one character's lost X, and I hadn't put those together. So I do really enjoy sort of reading up on the TV that I watch. I like a proper meaty show as opposed to
Mate, watch Body
reality
Fixes. It's
shit.
next level.
All right, okay, I'll see what the AV Club think about it. See if they've given.
Can you
it
just
at
quickly
least a
check
B+.
if there is an AV Club review
There's
of
not.
Body?
There's not.
Why?
I'll check, mate.
Check now.
Body Fixes A. If there is, then you can have this.
Give me
month's
20
Subpar
quid.
Money. Okay, deal. No, if you type in Body Fixes AV Club, you get.
There wasn't an
Buffy
edit there, by the
slash-
way, everybody. It was literally in the space of a half a second. It was a no.
You get Buffy. You get a review for Buffy / Angel, an episode called Reprise Epiphany. The Body, I Was Made to Love You. So yeah, it's just got the word body in there.
Cole, I've got an AV Club. The first story I've seen is, do bookstores make you poop? The Japanese have a theory.
I've never been on the front page of the AV Club. I always sort of Google show like the Americans AV Club and get from there.
I can't.
What's the answer? Do they?
See, I didn't even click it. Control F. Do they? No, it doesn't.
It's the Mariko
Doesn't say.
Oki phenomenon.
It's just. Oh my god, it's so long. There's so many words. I'm clicking off that. I'm done.
I like reading. I don't like reading books.
Yeah, books are shit.
I'm not very good with books at all.
It took
I
me.
like writing books.
It took me 3. How many books have you written?
Let me rephrase. I like writing stories.
There we go.
I don't like writing
Dickhead.
books. You're right. I wasn't meaning to give myself. I literally didn't mean to sort of slip that one under the
novelist
radar.
of myself.
What I mean is, I like writing more than I like reading when it comes to fiction.
It took me 3 years of uni to read 1984. And that's not a long book. That's like 130 pages.
Fair play to you for ploughing on.
Honestly, really good book as well. I enjoyed every time I read it, but I could only read about 5 pages at a time.
Do you like audiobooks?
I think I would, because I love podcasts.
Okay.
But I think I would. I just have never really tried, to be honest. But yeah, it's something that I'd like to kind of dive into. But podcasts for me are, that's like if I'm going on a road trip, I will listen to a podcast because they keep me awake better than music does. Because music, I know what's coming. I've heard the song. I know what's going on. What?
You sound like a madman. I can only listen to songs once. I don't want to watch it back again. That's bullshit. I already know how it finishes. Exactly. I know it fades out at the end. I don't need to listen to it again.
I know that at the end of Let's Dance the Joy Division, they laugh.
And they dance to Joy Division. It's ridiculous. Clues in the title.
A podcast, if anybody wants a recommendation for a podcast, firstly, this one. And secondly, If I Were You by Jake and Amir. It is the greatest podcast I've ever heard on the internet. And if you guys listen to it, you'll notice that I've pretty much ripped our intro from theirs, which is fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Did they come up with Officially Unofficially?
Now, they're, and this is the only advice podcast on the internet hosted by us.
Yeah, we did advice.
Ours is officially, unofficially the best podcast on the internet.
That's true, though.
True.
And we did advice back in the first 2 episodes of this podcast.
Yeah, we did.
Can we get some sort of interaction with the people?
Yeah, we told them to
Let's
fuck
ask
off
them
earlier.
something. And what's that?
We told them to fuck off earlier.
Deal. That'll do.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
People can talk to us on Twitter. I don't need to talk to them on the podcast. I need to know my voice.
Weird.
Which I think is fair.
Weird, man.
Everybody, thanks for listening to episode 47 of the Subpar Odyssey. If you could leave us a review on iTunes, that would be great. Otherwise...
Yeah, when I'm editing this, we're going to get to that point. I'm going to think, my editing's almost done. Then we got a fucking 15-minute conversation about body shamers or whatever the hell it's called.
That's a hell of a TV show, Body Shamers.
You're a bit tall, aren't you, you freak?
That's the thing that they're having a go at me for? I've got off lightly there.
I didn't even mean you. I just meant stranger in the street.
That's quite telling, isn't it?
You are a bit tall, though.
I am very tall, though. And we will be back on episode 48. Well, hopefully we will have a guest. If you guys have any recommendations or suggestions of who you would like to hear on the podcast where we can quiz them about a weird place to listen from, then let us know. Otherwise, we will see you very shortly. Have a good one, team.